Caylen, as you know, unlearn the crap and level up, your soul is calling, is based on the foundation that we come to our growth expansion and our world carrying conditioned responses and automatic programming that don't serve us, and that we all have something we need to let go of so that we can release it and level up to the next best version of ourselves. You have an amazing perspective on what you do and how you do it. So I am so excited about this conversation. What crap did you need to unlearn for you to level up and serve the way you do?
I literally had to get out of my own way and step into trust and surrender, which was extremely difficult for me. I'm not sure why, because like there's no one moment in my life that I can pinpoint, oh, that was it. That's what, caused me to not trust. But for whatever reason, I had a lot of self-doubt. I had a lot of, I can't do this. And I had to get to a space and place where I was just stepping into every day, okay, angels, what am I supposed to do today? What's the first step? And then just kind of follow the breadcrumbs as they went throughout the day, and just trust that they were going to give me the information, show me the signs, lead me to the right place. And I just had to literally let go. And well, you know what they say, when you're paddling your canoe against the flow, you're not going anywhere. So I literally had to turn my canoe around and just let the flow take me. And I had to trust every single step, every single little intuitive hit. I just had to step into it and go, okay, even if it felt like it was really weird or out of the box, I had to step into that and just fully trust and believe that that was the right step and it was going to take me to the right place.
I love that. And I bet you there is a whole lot of unpacking that we're going to do in how you did that and how you currently live right now. But before we do, could you mentioned in what you just said that you handed it over to the angels. So this is a perfect time for you to introduce who you are and who you serve and how you serve, so that everyone can understand. What do you mean, angels? What's this about?
Well, my name is Caylen Dheviain, and I'm an angel therapy practitioner, and I empower women to bring the support and guidance into their daily lives in order to reconnect with themselves and discover their innate spiritual gifts, and then inadvertently bring and share their innate spiritual gifts in the world. And we do it through the angelic realm because the angels vibrate at a higher vibrational frequency than we do on the planet Earth. So when you are able to tap into that higher vibrational frequency, you are able to access more knowledge, more guidance. You're able to unlock things that are within your subconscious mind and DNA and past lives. But when you are able to step into a higher frequency, that enables you to receive those things much more clearly, much more easily, and then that can help guide and direct your life.
That sounds ideal. It sounds idyllic. Well, the word I'm trying to say, but I'm stumbling over.
Yes.
Ideal, whatever. Have you always had the angels on your side? Or did you have an epiphany and an awakening?
I didn't have a big monumental occurrence or specific aha moment or, a divine being coming in and saying, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. For me, I've been told when I connect with other healers and readers in this realm that yes, the angels have always been with me. But for me, the discovery of it and the connection to it was more of a natural unfolding of events. So it was just a series of little events that, like I said, when we began, led me from one place to the next. And the first monumental moment, if you want to use that word, was basically when my mother started stepping into exploring her own spirituality. And she did this, I think it was like her early 40s kind of thing. And at that time, she invited us girls to come along and explore that with her. And at the time, she originally stepped into Hay House and the different authors there. And Wayne Dyer was there at that time, Sonia Choquette, Doreen Virtue was the angel lady. And so I stepped into that world of Hay House and learning from those different authors, you know, with my mom. But then inadvertently got on Doreen Virtue's email list and eventually got invited to her course. And the first time the invite came through, I wanted to go, but it didn't work out. So I pulled out. And then the next time it came through, it was like, this is my last in-person opportunity to do this training. And I literally turned to my husband at the time and said, I have to go.
Did you just know you had to be there?
I just knew I had to be there. I didn't know why per se. I just, like, I felt this really strong pull to go. And it was interesting because as it unfolded, getting ready to go and setting up to go there, because I had to go to Kona, Hawaii. I had not newborn twins, but they were just over a year old. So I was still nursing. I had to arrange for my mother to come and she was available, and like things just fell into place with ease. The flight to get there was like super reasonable. In fact, I think I thought it was actually very cheap. And it was just one thing after the other that literally just kind of like popped into the slots, zoop, zoop, zoop kind of thing.
Oh, if that's not a sign you were meant to be there, I don't know what is.
Exactly. And when I arrived there and stepped into the room on that first day, it literally felt like I was walking into a room of people I already knew, even though I'd never met in this lifetime any of these people. And you know, there was 200 of us or so in that room, and it didn't matter who I talked to throughout the time or who I connected with. The conversation was always easy, natural. It was like stepping into a space of old friends.
Wow. So that's what it feels like when we're on energetic alignment.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And many people have you know, felt this throughout their lives at different moments. But the more we step in and align ourselves to living this way and to keeping ourselves at that higher vibrational space where we can experience it more often, then that's when the magic really starts to happen on a regular basis. That's when, you know, your angels are there to help you, you know, 24/7. Not that they aren't already, but when you're in that space, you are then more able to connect and recognize that they're there. And so it makes it much easier for you to receive, and then of course, you know, follow the guidance and the messages that you're receiving.
I love what you're saying, because with Unlearn the Crap, I teach the biochemistry, the electromagnetic, the connection between our three brains, our mind, our heart, our gut. And I talk about how the energy of our world is connected through all universal laws, and we're all interconnected. And that knowing those laws, knowing how it all works, gives us the ability to understand the language of what it's speaking to us, allows us to understand the language of our intuition and our spirit, our soul, our connection. What is it that allows you to understand and hear the angels? Which, to me, if I'm going to use Unlearn the Crap language instead of angel language, that will be the energetic universe that we live in. Would you agree?
It just define that a little bit more for me, and then I'll
Well,
better sense.
the universal laws I talk about is that everything is energy, and that everything within energy is a different vibration. And you were saying the angels vibrate at a higher level. So when we access that higher vibration, it is still part of the energetic realm that is all, and we are all interconnected at all times. We cannot disconnect from that energy field. It's just a matter, in my language of how I explain it, is that it is whether we are dialed in to the same frequency and vibration.
Yes. Yes, I would say so. Yes. Yeah.
So how do you know it's the angels that are talking to you? How do you know it's not your ego?
Yes, yeah. Actually, that's an excellent question. So when you connect with the angels, you always want to come out of your head and drop into your heart, right? The heart is the gateway to connecting to the divine, whether it be angels, spirit guides, any other divine beings that you want to work and connect with. The heart is also the gateway to opening up our intuition, connecting to our divine feminine, right? And these are all elements of stepping into that intuitive, energetic, guided space. And so the first step is literally just kind of putting your hand on your heart. If it's something if you feel like you're stuck in your head, is literally putting your hand on your heart, taking a nice deep breath, closing your eyes, and then just actually imagining you dropping from the head into the heart. And that does a couple of things for us. One, that brings you to the present moment. Two, it brings you into that heart space, because the angels are pure, divine, unconditional love. And so that is channeled and connected to us through the heart space. So then once we have kind of dropped into our heart, and that takes a bit of practice because in our daily lives, we're so much in our heads, right? And so doing that a few times a day will, just like any other exercise that you may do, will help strengthen that ability to drop into that space and that frequency more quickly. So once you're in that space, then you can just call the angels to come into you, to come in for you. And things that you will notice when the angels are present is it is always a positive, warm, comforting feeling. If you ever are noticing that it feels negative or not quite right, that's not an angelic frequency. You'll feel kind of like loved, protected. It's always positive. And so if you're ever, like I said, feeling that there's some negative energies are not quite right, then it's not an angelic frequency. Another thing that you can do is when you call them in, you can simply ask. And I like to ask 3 times. So you would simply say, not are you the angels, because if it is not, of course they can say, well, yes, of course we are. But simply to say, who are you? So once you feel you've called and connected, then you say, who are you? And then just let whatever comes into your mind respond. So if it's the angels, they usually say, we are the angels, or something along those lines. And then you do it with a follow-up question, kind of is like, what are you here for? And if they say, well, we're here to help you, great. If they say anything that's negative or harmful towards another person or yourself even, then you know right away it's not. Now, the caveat is that you should do this not just once, but do it 3 times and ask those 2 questions 3 times in total. Because each time, if you get the same or similar answer, then you can confirm that it is an angelic presence. The other thing with angelic connection is, like I said, they will not only will there not be a negative energy present, but they'll never ask you to do something that is harmful, negative, breaking the law, like those kinds of things. They are here to help us. And when they help you, you're inadvertently helping others, right? Because as we talked about, we're all divinely connected. And so they're never going to, say, oh, we'll go out and smash so-and-so's car, or, lie to someone about X, Y, Z. It's always going to come from a space of love. And so it's going to be things that are helpful, supportive, uplifting, causing no harm to yourself or others. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So I'm going to ask you to be a little bit personal and vulnerable. Can you share a very profound moment that you've had with your angel connection?
Very profound moment.
Or one of your favorite moments, or one that really shows what that experience is like and how life-changing it can possibly be. Because I'm assuming that if you were led to the angels and now you are on a path to teach others how to connect with their angels, something happened with your own personal connection.
Yes. Well, the one that comes to mind is one I share often these days. It was shortly after my mother had passed. I was in the airport going for, the prep of the services to be with the family and that kind of thing. And I met a lady at the coffee shop at Starbucks. And you might be thinking, well, okay, we meet people every day. What's so significant about, this experience? But I knew that I had been guided there to meet her, and that she was the exact right person for me at that time. Because when I looked back on the event, I could immediately see how I had gotten there. So in the moment when I met her, she was very supportive. It was like meeting someone I already knew. Within 10 minutes, we were like almost like besties, and we were hugging and sharing stories and that kind of thing. But what led me there was, like I had said with my own experience, a natural unfolding of events, a series of breadcrumbs that had literally brought me to that moment. So it went all the way back to, a few weeks ago, I had taken my children to a movie. And instead of going home, I decided to sit in the coffee shop, which happened to be the Chapters bookstore. I happened to be sitting across from the self-help section and noticed the title of this book. Forget what the title of the book was now, but I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I came home, and instead of buying the book, I just decided to see if the title was at the library. So I did. And then short time later, my mother passed away, and then I was heading to the airport. And I was like, okay, well, what book am I going to take to read on the plane? For whatever reason, this book, like, literally jumped out of me and almost said, take me. But the thing is it was a hardcover book, and it wouldn't fit in my carry-on bag. So I actually had to carry it in my hand onto the plane along with my carry-on baggage. And the reason the reason this lady started talking to me is because he saw the book title. That being said, I had also been delayed in picking up my coffee because they had gotten my original order wrong and had to redo it. So I had to wait a few extra minutes at the coffee counter, which if I had gotten my coffee on time, I would have been gone before this lady came over to pick up her order. Yeah. And so she saw the title of the book that I was holding in my hand and asked me how it was, because she was actually reading the same thing. And then that's how we connected and had our conversation. It turned out she was in Calgary. There's been some other connections and things that have happened in connecting with her post meeting in the airport. But it literally was, when you trace it back all the way, literally, we're taking my kids to a movie, which at the time, taking the kids to the movie, I had no way of knowing or seeing that would lead me all the way to this woman in the airport. right? Who was my bestie, and we were hugging, and yeah, best friends. So
I love that, because so many times when things go wrong, you didn't get your order correct, all of these things, we can take ourselves out of that alignment by bringing in negativity.
yes,
Oh, why is this happening to me? And now you're creating a energetic wall that repels people from you and cuts you off from your angels. But you saying, okay, this is happening, and going with the flow, like you said, turning your canoe around, allowed all of the connections to flow in the time that they needed for it to happen.
exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's challenging for us as human beings when things are happening to kind of just go with it and not get upset, or like my mother had just passed away. I could have gotten really upset, that my coffee wasn't ready, even though it wasn't a big deal. But I didn't. And so I just, calmly waited and stood in the space, and then, yeah, I had this beautiful connection. And I knew too that, she had literally been sent to me.
Wow. So it was more than that momentary connection. There was something more you got out of this encounter.
Exactly. Yes, because we live in the same city, we physically connected a number of times, gone for walks. She connected me with somebody else here in Calgary. That was an opportunity for connection and growth and expansion, and so it's just kind of blossomed into all these other things that, like I said, I would not have foreseen at all, just by taking the kids to see Mario Brothers or whatever it was.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, I had a situation last year. 2024 was a challenging year for me. One of the things that I talk about is that while we need to unlearn our crap, leveling up is like a stepping stone. It is a process that each time we take one step and we feel like we have arrived because we are flat on the step, something happens that will push us to level up.
Right.
And that push, take your foot off of the comfort of being secure, both feet on that one step, puts us into a state of vulnerability. And that usually creates some sort of chaos or some sort of stress on us.
Mm-hmm.
I had a series of things happening last year. And before that, I always say that I was too strong for too long. That it took me having a complete and total nervous breakdown in order for me to hear my angels, hear my intuition, hear the language of my body and my soul. And so last year I had an issue where I was traveling, and something happened that I made a mistake of overgiving, which is one of my downfalls. Is I have a tendency to be too generous with, here, I can do this, I can do that, even when it's not my place to do it.
Right.
It's not my position to be self-sacrificing, that it was for somebody else. But that is one of my lessons that I needed to unlearn. And I ended up being in the position of being in the United States. You and I are Canadian.
Yes.
And I did not have, in my self-serving, I didn't have my purse, my wallet, my ID. I had nothing. Here I was in another country with nothing on me but my cell phone. Mm-hmm. And so that instance, while everything lined up afterward that I got it back from the airline, the message became, you need to stop doing things for other people to make things easier and more accommodating for other people, that it is time for me to level up and take my place and own So I took that as the universe, the angels, whatever, was teaching me a lesson. Is that another way the angels talk to us?
Well, what happens? So, yes. And what happens is, because we have free will, we have to ask the angels for help. Because, we're here, part of our experience on the planet is to experience and use our free will. And so even though the angels are here to guide us and protect us and keep us safe and help and support us, if we don't ask, they can't really do much for us. It doesn't mean they're not hanging around, but if we don't actually consciously ask, well, you can ask subconsciously, but that's a side note. But basically, let's just go with asking. Then they cannot step in and guide us and support us. What they can do, though, is try and send us signs. It's not that they're not trying to guide us and support us, but like I said, it's almost like when we ask, we like open the dam to let the messages come through. If we're not asking, then the dam is closed and the messages are coming and they're just hitting the dam. So when we are not connecting, hearing, or making use of the messages we're receiving, what happens is we get to a space and place where we get hit big and we get hit hard, because that change has to happen, because you have likely agreed to this path and this experience and certain things to occur in this lifetime for you. But for whatever reason, you're not doing it, or you're not making that shift or change or transformation. And it's literally at a point where it must happen, or, well, for lack of a better word, you're going to kind of like self-combust. That's just an analogy.
So if I hear you correctly, our power is in our ability to consciously choose to receive.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And if we are not consciously choosing to receive, and it doesn't align with, the design that we've created before we came to the planet, then we're going to get a strong nudge. And if we're ignoring it over and over and over again, and you may not even realize that you're ignoring it or not receiving it, but if it keeps happening over and over and over again, it's going to get stronger and stronger each time. It's like the lady who keeps falling on the ice. First, she is only scratched and bruised. Second time, it's a sprain. Third time, she breaks her leg. Fourth time, it just continually progresses to get worse and worse and worse. And so when bad things happen, sometimes you can look back and see, oh, I see that. Oh yeah, first time it was a scratch. Second time it was a sprain. Third time you can see the progression, and it's the angels and the universe like trying to get your attention and say, here, we have the tools, we have the answers, we have the path that would be, beneficial for you to take. But when you're not getting it, and you can not be getting it for a lot of reasons. I don't want anybody to feel like they're not doing it right, or they failed, or, it's all about, what we've learned when we grew up, our society, the current space and place you're in. It's never a space.
It's the crap we need to learn that's in the way.
Exactly. Perfect. Because when we first come to the planet, we are open and receiving, right? But as we dive into life on Earth, everything shapes things or shuts things down. And when you come to space and place where you are stepping into connecting with the angels and expanding your spirituality, it's a matter of reconnecting, not learning from scratch, because you already know, but it's a matter of reconnecting and remembering what you already know. And the angels can help us do that. And like I said, when those extreme situations happen, there's probably signs, if you look back, that they were trying to get your attention, but for whatever reason, you hadn't stepped into it yet. And so you get hit with a big whomper. And then sometimes some of us get it, and sometimes the whopper gets bigger. But
that's what I meant when I said that I was too strong for too long. Is it wasn't until it was the big, I cannot ignore this. I needed to be in a state where there was nothing but me in order to hear. And absolutely. Because I was so indoctrinated to the shoulds and the expectations and the how-tos. And the living in the ego and living with the masks and suppression and all these other things that go along with the crap that gets in our way. That's so right. I saw a scientist talk about an experiment that happened. And what they did was they put people into I forget what the box is called, but it was a box that has zero vibration, absolutely zero vibration, no external vibration whatsoever. And that it's critically important to not be in these environments for too long because it's not healthy. But when they put people into this, they were able to measure the vibration that was coming internally and was being vibrated out. And the vibration they were able to measure to the exact feeling and emotion and mood that the people were feeling. That it could not come from any other source. Right. So you said something that I really want us to touch in on. And that is so many times people have a problem with understanding that we are all the creators. And we say, I didn't create that. I wouldn't have created something I don't want. Why would I want this horrible thing to have happened? Of course I didn't create it. What do you say about that?
Oh, there's a lot of layers to that one. Wow, where to even begin? So when we create stuff, we're excellent manifestors. As human beings, we are fantastic manifestors, and that's good and bad, and all the things in between. But there's so many factors that come into play when we're creating, right? Our beliefs, our mindset. 90 to 95% of our thoughts are actually subconscious. And so if you've got a lovely negative subconscious pattern circling round and round and round and round over and over again, it doesn't matter what current affirmation you're using out loud, because that's only 5 to 10% of your consciousness. You've got to deal with the subconscious. So the crap. Yeah, exactly. And so, when working with the angels, they can help you dive in and go figure out what those things are and help clear them. Now, that being said, you don't always have to know exactly what it is in the subconscious programming. You just have to be able to move and shift it. And the nice thing, or the fantastic thing about working with the angelic realm is that in some cases, you can just ask them to go in and clear it, and they will. And then you're done. Now, it depends on the depth of the belief and how ingrained it is and like some other factors. But there are many situations where you can just say, okay, I'm done with this. Can you clear it? Or lead me to the person who can, right? And it can be that simple.
I love that. Because part of my unlearn the crap journey was in figuring out that I did not need to live in the past traumas. I didn't need to relive them. I didn't need to rehash them in order to just cut their connection and cut their effect on me. I could just let it go.
Exactly.
And just say, this doesn't. And so what you're saying is you can just say, this isn't serving me. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where it is, but you can call in your angels and say, can you just take care of this for me?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Is it that easy? Caylen, is it really that easy?
It is that easy. It is that easy. Now, of course, all our ego mind comes in and the doubts and all that kind of thing. And so that's when trust and surrender comes in. Right. And you have to really trust that they are doing their thing, because sometimes it's going to be quickly cleared. And then sometimes it might take a little bit of time or time for us on earth. And so you just have to trust that your request is being met, that it's happening, and that they're taking care of it. And if there needs to be some action on your part, then they will let you know what action steps you need to take, whether it is to go pop into that store over there, which has the Reiki practitioner that's the perfect person for you, or whether it's, hearing a piece of conversation in the coffee shop that leads you to something. And trust is so challenging for us, especially when we're experiencing difficulty, challenges, heartache, whatever it may be, because we just want to get out. And that is one thing that actually does not serve us as humans, is, especially at this time, we are in such an instantaneous world. We want it right now. We want it to happen right now. We want it to be cleared right now. But, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Okay, angels, bring it back.
Okay, so while you're bringing back your thought, I'm going to give an example from my own personal life.
Yeah, go for it.
My parents passed away very suddenly within 7 weeks of each other, and I became responsible for my grandmother. And they all lived in Mexico. And so I had made the stressful decision and went into my automatic programming crap, and I gave everything up that I had in my own life, and I went to take care of my grandmother. And I was one of these Excel spreadsheet kind of people that I had plan A, B, C, D. I mean, I had it all plotted and planned, and I had a backup plan for a backup plan. Like, I had all of this figured out, and nothing worked. Nothing worked. I had gone to the point of plan F. And I got to the point where none of my plans were working, and now I was in serious, serious trouble. And so I got to the point where I threw my hands up and I said, okay, God, I give up. I give up. I've done everything I can think of. I don't know what to do anymore. I give up. And I sobbed and I just let it go. Within 24 hours, my entire problems were resolved, and I didn't have to do a thing. It all just arrived.
Yes. Yeah, because you were open, you were ready, you surrendered, and you trusted that it would just happen for you. And that is the key, and it's also the challenge.
I was going to say, so how do we do it before we hit that place of we've exhausted ourselves? How do we do it as part of our superpower, as part of as our tools, as part of our empowerment?
It is literally just bringing the angels into your daily life and your regular practice throughout your day. And so, regardless of where you're at in connecting to the angelic realm, it can always be strengthened, right? Whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or, diving deep for a number of years, that can always be enhanced and strengthened, and, frequency can go even higher. And so calling, even just simply by starting on calling the angels to help you with something on a regular basis. And I always encourage people, especially if you are just starting out, to ask for something that you can feasibly receive an answer or support with in like 24 hours. Because
Like what?
Like what?
Yeah. Give us an example of what you're referring to. I'm one of those people that I need to see a metaphor, a simile, a something that
yeah,
goes,
of course. Yeah.
That's what she's talking about.
Yes, yes. Well, I'll give you an example. So like say finding your keys. You can just ask the angels to help you find your keys. If you can't find your keys, ask them to help you find your keys. And there's two reasons that you pick something like simple like that. One is you can feasibly find them probably in 24 hours. In fact, when I call on Archangel Chamuel to help me find things, it's usually much quicker than that. It's usually like within a few minutes. But the other thing is in our minds as human beings, we consider that a small thing. Right? And so that helps us overcome the ego mind and get out of the mind, get out of the head, because we think, oh, that's an easy thing. Right? But to the angels, it doesn't matter whether you're asking them to help you find your keys or find a new house, because it's all energy. Right? But in our human experience, we have assigned big, little, small to those things. And so that's why I suggest something like that, which we would consider small. It also brings us success within a 24-hour period, which begins to build our confidence, which begins to build your trust, which begins to allow you to move into a space and place where you're able to trust more and more and let things go. Now, sometimes keys is not a great example, but if you wanted help with finding the right person to repair your car, for instance, the reason that I say 24 hours is so that you can be consciously looking for signs and messages within that 24-hour period, and you're not bringing in any self-doubt, because when there's a finite amount of time, you're not wondering for the whole week, was that the answer? Was that my message? You're right. So you stay focused. The other thing is sometimes when you set the parameters like that and say within the 24 hours, it may not be the entire solution. It may only be a step or breadcrumb, like we've discussed earlier, to the solution. So something will come in for you in that next 24 hours, but it might not be the perfect car repair person yet, but it might be a connection to that person, right? So that you might come across Mary Beth, and she's connected to John, and then John leads you to the perfect car repair guy. But what will happen in that first 24 hours, perhaps, is you might just meet Mary Beth. So you see how it's really important to kind of step in and not discount anything.
What do we do about the big stuff? What do we do about the big manifestation goals? What do we do with the level up, the new life that we're trying to create? I believe that we're in a massive paradigm shift.
We are.
Our society is changing. Our government, our financial, our education, our medical, every part. And we are all in what I call the snow globe of life, where our world has been shaken up. So now everything is uncertain, and we know that there's something that we're being called to do. We know we can feel it, but there's so many people that say, I don't know what it is, and I can't figure out how to find it.
Right. That's when when you go back to the one step at a time, one message at a time, one breadcrumb at a time. And trust. You just got to trust that the end thing is there, and follow the breadcrumbs. And so bigger things don't necessarily need to take more time to manifest, but sometimes they do. And that is also due to the fact that we experience time differently on the planet than they do in the other realms and frequencies, right?
Yeah.
And there's also the process of having to not skip any steps per se, right? If you skip some steps, then you won't have the exact results that you want. And so that's why sometimes the pieces of the steps for your manifestation only drop in a little bit at a time, because as human beings, if we see the end and we see all the steps, we might skip a few steps and run ahead, but then our result is not the same.
Oh, I love that analogy. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Caylen, I believe that we are meant to go through all of this in community and collaboration, and that we're not supposed to be doing it alone. I believe that part of the crap we've been taught is that we're supposed to know it all and do it all and be it all and do it all by ourselves. And we put all these expectations on us. So while you say it is easy to connect to our angels, it's probably not easy for everyone as they learn how to do it. Is that what you do? Do you teach them how to access that?
Yes, absolutely. That is exactly what I do. In fact, it's one of the things that I feel is the most important, is I want to teach you, show you how to recognize and utilize that connection with the angelic realm. Everybody experiences it differently. We all receive our messages differently. And so it's really important to clear your energy and then dial in on how you receive. Like, I'm a very clairvoyant person, so that is my strongest way of receiving messages. It doesn't mean I can't receive them in the other forms, but when I know what the best way is for me to receive, not only am I looking for that, but I can now tell the angels to bring me my messages in that form.
So we can say, this is the best way for me to receive information. I'm an auditory person. I'm a kinesthetic person. I'm a visual person. I love that. That ties so much to my message of know thyself. Know thyself.
Yes.
That when you know who you are and how you best operate, and when you know your own rhythms and your own triggers and your own everything. Thank you for this amazing, enlightening conversation. For those people who have connected and you've piqued their curiosity and they say, I am ready to learn how to do this. I am ready to stop doing it by myself. How do they find you?
They can connect with me. You can find me on Instagram. And it's simply at Caylen Dheviain. You can find me on Facebook. I have a personal page that I share many angelic things on, but I also have a Facebook page, which is Your Inner Light CA. And then you can also go to my website, which is in the process of being updated and upgraded because it's very retro looking right now. But there is information there that is helpful and a way to contact me. But my most current and recent stuff on a daily basis, Facebook and Instagram are the best places to find me and be in the know of what's currently happening.
Beautiful. We will put all that information in the notes. I want to thank you again for your time, your expertise, for your inspiration. We all need some help in these transitional times that we're in. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
This has been Unlearn the Crap TV with your host, Kathy Baldwin. Tune in each week as Kathy challenges you to rethink everything you know about personal empowerment and societal structures. Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.